भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य
ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन
येन
तस्मै
तस्मै
श्रीगुरुवे
श्रीगुरवे
नमः।
नमः।
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
स्थापितं
स्थापितं
येन
येन
भूतले
भूतले
स्वयं
स्वयं
रूपः
रूपः
कदा
कदा
मह्यं
मह्यं
ददाति
ददाति
स्वपदान्तिकम्।
स्वपदान्तिकम्।
वन्देऽहं
वन्देऽहं
श्रीगुरोः
श्रीगुरोः
श्रीयुतपदकमलं
श्रीयुतपदकमलं
श्रीगुरुन्
श्रीगुरुन्
वैष्णवांश्च
वैष्णवांश्च
श्रीरूपं
श्रीरूपसाग्रजातं
साग्रजातं सहगण
सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं
रघुनाथान्वितं
तं
तं
सजीवम्
सजीवं साद्वैतं
साद्वैतं
सावधूतं
सावधूतं परिजनसहितं
परिजनसहितं
कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम्
कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
श्रीराधा
श्रीराधा
कृष्णपादान्
कृष्णपादान् सहगण
गणललिता
ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च।
श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च।
हे
हे
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
करुणा
करुणा
सिन्धो
सिन्धो
दीनबन्धो
दीनबन्धो
जगत्पते
जगत्पते
गोपेश
गोपेश
गोपिकान्त
गोपिकान्त
राधाकान्त
राधाकान्त
नमोस्तुते।
नमोस्तुते।
तप्त
तप्त
काञ्चन
काञ्चन
गौराङ्गी
गौराङ्गी
राधे
राधे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते
वृषभानुसुते
देवी
देवी प्रणमामि
प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिये।
हरिप्रिये।
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा
कृपा
सिन्धुभ्येव च
सिन्धुभ्येव च
पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो
नमो नमः।
नमः। नमो
नमः ॐ
विष्णुपादाय
विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
भूतले
भूतले
श्रीमते
श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त
भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति
स्वामिनिति नामिने।
नमस्ते
नमस्ते
सरस्वती
सरस्वते
देवे
देवे
गौरवाणी
गौरवाणी
प्रचारिणे
प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष
निर्विशेष
शून्यवादी
शून्यवादी
पाश्चात्य देश
पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे।
तारिणे।
जय
जय
श्री
श्री कृष्ण
कृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य प्रभु
प्रभु
नित्यानंद
नित्यानंद श्री
श्री
अद्वैत
अद्वैत
गदाधर
गदाधर
श्रीवासपादि
श्रीवासादि
गौरभक्त।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे
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 हरे राम
राम
हरे
हरे
राम
राम राम
राम
राम
राम
हरे
हरे हरे।
हरे। श्री कृष्ण भगवान की जय, श्री पाद की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। हरे कृष्ण मधु प्रभु। सो
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
गुड
हरे
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्ण प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण।
ओके, हरे कृष्णा डिवोटी। सो वी आर ready to go. That's the browser we are starting. With database. So we are studying from Bhagavad Gita, Adhyay or chapter 8. And we have so far finished, I think, 6 verses. Let's see. So last week, as we had only 3 of us in the beginning, so we didn't do the verse last week. We had a different discussion. So we discussed a few verses from a chapter from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we also touched on one verse. We probably will touch that today also. Third chapter, 30th verse from Bhagavad Gita. So in the 8th chapter, what we have learned so far, that Arjuna asks, in continuation of the 7th chapter, Arjuna asks few questions. So he wants to know what is Brahma, what is Adhyatma, what is Karma, what is Adhibhuta, what is Adhidaiva, what is Adhyarnya, and then where does the Adhyarnya live in the body, or Adhyarnya means super soul or the Paramatma, and then how and in what way one can remember Krishna at the end of life or when he is leaving this body? So these are few questions Arjuna asked. So Lord Krishna answers almost all of them except for the how to think of Krishna at the time of death, how and in what way. Everything he answers in next couple of few verses. So it says that the supreme or indestructible, not supreme, but the indestructible and transcendental living entity is called Brahma, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So Akshara means something that is never can never be destroyed. Kshara and Akshara. So he explains something about Kshara in next verse. And it is also Paramam. It is also the transcendental. And its nature of eternity is called Adhyatma. And then the material body created, the activity that creates the material body, again, next material body for a living entity, that activity is called karma. So everything what we are working or we are doing is preparing for our next body. So that is karma. And then adhibhutam, so the embodied being, physical nature which constantly changing, is called adhibhuta. So everything that is material, basically prakriti, our body or this nature around what we see, everything around us, it goes through what in the shastra is called 6 phases. It comes into being, so it is born or created, then it grows, and then it creates some byproduct, it stays for some time, it starts dwindling or decaying, and eventually it vanishes. So all that is material, it goes through these 6 stages. And this we can experience from our body also. It comes into being, so it is born, it is created, then it grows, it creates some byproducts in the form of children, then it stays for some time, it starts dwindling or decaying, or what is called as we start getting old age, and then eventually it it gets annihilated or it vanishes. That's what we eventually called as death. And that is true for everything that is material. So that is adhibhuta. Kshara bhava. Kshara means something that is destructible, something that is always getting destroyed continuously. And then Purushascha Adi Daivatam. Purusha, the Virata Purusha, including the demigods or the Devatas in it, and then the energies that is called Adi Daivatam. And Adhyadnya is the super soul or Paramatma in our heart. And he lives in our heart. That's what Dehe Deha Bhutambara. And then he goes on from verse 5 and onwards towards to the end of this chapter. He talks about Prayana Kale Chakatham Jneyo Sinyatatmadi. That is the last question Arjuna asked. That how can one think of you at the time of death? So he talks about the time when we are quitting this body. So that is emphasized here in the 8th chapter, how one should leave this body. And there are different ways that how one may leave this body. They are given what is the destination of how one leave this body and where does he go and what happens. And then what about the devotees then who are constantly engaged in devotional service, जे भगवंताच्या भक्तीमध्ये कायम रममाण आहेत, त्यांचं काय आहे डेस्टिनेशन. So that's what he gives. So he says that antakalecha mam eva, only me. Clearly says only me. Smaran muktva kalevaram. So at the end of life, when one quits his body, thinking of me, that Krishna is saying, ya prayati sa mad bhavam yati na asti atra samshaya. That he attains my eternal nature or my abode, he comes back to me in the spiritual world. Of this there is no doubt. Asamshay, na samshay. And then he says, then what happens? Somebody thinks something else. So he says that yam yam vapi smaran bhava, whatever yam yam, je kai jo vichar karel, tam tameva iti kaunteya. To te nature, to he will attain. So if somebody is thinking of dog, somebody thinking of cat, we have so many people have pet animals these days, and they are so attached to them that in particularly US we saw that there was one survey. There was I don't know how true this is, but I read there was one survey done in the city of New York. There were more women have dog than they were married. So the dog is there is so much craze about pets here, and it's not wrong, but it is, we are adding more attachment in our material life, and the more we get attached to this, the more we are creating another body for us or another karmic reaction for us. So here he says that tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. He will attain that nature for definitely, always. So then this is that, I think that's where we stopped last time when we finished. So let's read verse 7. So then what should we do? How can we remember Krishna? So Hare Krishna, Rajesh Parve Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So let's recite this verse. So 7th shloka from 8th chapter. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
Sarveshu kaleshu
tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु
tasmat sarveshu
कालेषु
kaleshu
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
Mamanusmara yuddha
माम अनुस्मर युध्य च
माम अनुस्मर युध्य
Mamanusmara
च
yuddha cha
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
buddhir
मयि अर्पित मनो बुद्धिर्
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
Mayarpitamano buddhir
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः
मामे वैश्यस्य
Mame
संशयः
vaishasya samshayaha
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः
मामे वैश्यस्य
Mame
संशयः
vaishasya samshayaha
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात्
Tasmat
सर्वेषु
sarveshu
कालेषु
kaleshu
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
मामनुस्मर युध्य
Mamanusmara
च
yuddha cha
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
Mayarpitamano buddhir
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः.
मामे वैश्यस्य
Mame
संशयः
vaishasya samshayaha.
Okay, we can take a couple of recitations. Let's start with Chandrakant Prabhu.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात्
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
माम अनुस्मर युध्य च
Mamanusmara yuddha cha
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
Mayarpitamano buddhir
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः
मामे
Mame vaishasya samshayaha.
Thank you, Chandrakant Prabhu. Madhu Prabhu, you want to read?
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात्
Tasmat
सर्वेषु
sarveshu
कालेषु
kaleshu
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्
मामे वैश्यस्य संशय
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः
Thank you, Prabhuji. So let's do the synonyms, understand the word for word meaning. So, Tasmat means therefore. So it is continuation of the previous two verses. So he said that Anta Kalecha Mameva. So whoever thinks of me, he will attain my nature. And whoever thinks whatever nature somebody thinks, he will attain that for sure. So here he says, therefore, Sarveshu, at all Kaleshu times, at all time, Mam, me, Anusmara, go on remembering, go on thinking. Anusmara. Yuddha, fight. Cha, also. Mai means unto me. Arpita means surrendering. Arpan karun. Manah means mind. Buddhi means intellect or intelligence. Mam means unto me. Eva means certainly or surely. Eshasi, you will come or you will attain. Asamshaya beyond a doubt. Asamshaya. Now here in all the verses, he has eradicated any doubt by using word sada. Then even the first word of this, there is no doubt. Samshaya, nasti samshaya. And here he says asamshaya. So there is nothing holding back. Complete guarantee he is giving in all these 3 verses. So the translation here, it says, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. So he's asking about himself, right? So that's what Prabhupada translates that. Me means Krishna. And at the same time, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting, yuddhacha. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Asamshaya. So how one can think of me at the time of death? That you should develop a habit of thinking about me all the time. Sarveshu kaleshu. So this verse, and actually there was one more verse last week we'll probably touch that. So this verse, through the medium of Arjuna, is direct instructions to us also. So if you just replace this Arjuna's word by our name, and Arjuna's duty was to fight. He was a Kshatriya, and at that time when Lord Krishna was instructing him Bhagavad Gita, he was on the battlefield. So his duty at that time, the material duty based on his material religion, material dharma at that time, was to fight. So he asked him to perform your duty, because at this moment your duty is of fighting. So he says that carry out your duty of fighting. So if we replace his name by ours, and if we replace this our duty of, instead of fighting, it will be our duty. This is very personal instruction given by Krishna to us directly. Or we can just read, therefore, O the Radhā-Rañjana, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. At the same time, carry your prescribed duty of whatever you are supposed to do at that time, or particularly in that role. And with your activities dedicated to me. So every activity we can dedicate to him. Krishna never said that, oh, you give up fighting or you give up your duty or anything. No, he said, do your duty. But how? Thinking of me and as a surrender to me. So every activity we can perform as surrender to Krishna. And he says that there are several verses, even in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadasiyat. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever dan you do, whatever worship you do, tat kurushva mad arpanam. Do it that with the attitude of giving to me. So here he says the same thing, or same thing we discuss about the verse Kayena vacha manasa indradeva Narayana samarpayami. So whatever with my body, mind, intelligence, senses, everything, whatever I am doing, what do? I offer it to Lord Narayana. So same thing here, he is asking directly to Arjuna that you should always think of me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, and all the time. Not that only in the morning or only in the evening or only in the Brahma Murta or only certain time or only on this day of the year or something like that. No. Sarveshu kaleshu. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara. Think of me and at the same time perform your duty. Yuddhacha. And in this way, slowly when you get practice, you develop a habit. Mai arpita. In this way, when you offer your activities with what? Mind and intelligence. Also, with intelligence, you engage your mind in thinking of me. And that's why in old days, if you see people will always say, oh, भगवान की कृपा से हुआ है, जो भी हुआ भगवान की कृपा से हुआ, और या भगवान की यही इच्छा थी, ये हो गया. So they will always bring Bhagwan in all their activities or something what they are doing. So that's what the attitude was earlier days. But eventually we became so Nastic that we eradicated Bhagwan or God from everything, and we started taking credit. Oh, I have done this. This is what I am doing. Everything. We have become so arrogant that we stopped giving credit, because everything is Krishna's energy. He said, we learned in 7th chapter, right? This, even the mind, intelligence, and ego is also Krishna's energy, material energy. So the intelligent with which we are working and applying this knowledge, and the physical body that we are applying, that is also given by Krishna. So whatever I am doing actually is done through the medium of me by Krishna only. He says eventually in the 8th chapter, that nimitta matra bhava savyasachin, that you are thinking you are fighting, but you are just nimitta matra. You are just an instrument in my plan here. So don't think that you are doing this. So if we develop that attitude and always think of Krishna, that's how we will be able to remember him at the end of our life. So that's the tip he is giving here. So therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time perform your prescribed duty of fighting. And with your my arpita mano buddhir, your activities dedicated to me, and mind and intelligence, mana and buddhi, arpit, surrendering to me, mam evaishasi asamshaya, you will come back to me. Of this there is no doubt. So let's read. This is a very short purport, but you get the gist. Very self-explanatory verse here. So how about Kiran Prabhu? You want to read this purport quickly?
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. The instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here, Prabhupada, you may have noticed that Prabhupada always brings this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in all purports, because there is so much emphasis in many scriptures given about this mantra, that for Kali Yuga, this is the important process. And this is not whimsically Prabhupada is quoting, but many times what happens is, if there is an emergency situation, so there is no time to educate the person to give complete background or complete knowledge about certain things, and the doctor may recommend, oh, you have to take this medicine sooner, as soon as possible, so it will save. So that is the situation, because today it is kind of emergency situation, and the way we are living, you can see around us, and based on that you can realize, we all see around us, everybody is suffering. We all are suffering, but we are trying to find some happiness here and there by some mitigation of pain or some sense pleasure. Those are the two things that we derive happiness from. That whatever painful situation we are going through, that is little bit subsidized, so we feel, oh, I'm feeling a little better today than yesterday, or something like that, and some sense gratification we get, and we think that that is happiness. But to understand the whole background, we unfortunately are not well equipped with intelligence to study all the Vedic literature. We don't have enough time to study all the Vedic literature, and even if we study, we don't have qualified teachers who can explain the Vedic literatures to us. So this is kind of emergency situation. That's why Prabhupada says there is a simple way that is prescribed in the Vedic literature, that please chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And there are so many references. I think we talked earlier about Radhā-Rañjana Upanishad says that Harer Nama Iva Kevalam Kalau na asti eva nasti eva nasti eva gatiranyata. That Hari's name, take Hari's name, and in 3 times when somebody says, then it is in Vedic literature, it says that there is a lot of emphasis given on that, how important this is. Harer Nama, that you should take Hari's name all the time. Kalau in Kali Yuga, na asti eva, na asti eva, na asti eva, gatir anyata. Again 3 times. There is no other way than taking Hari's name in this Kali Yuga to get the Param Gati. And then there are same other places. Kali Santarana Upanishad I always give. Then Ananta Samhita it is explained. Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned several times. In Vishnu Purana it is mentioned. Then in the other Upanishads and also in the okay, thank you, Shankaram Prabhu. So in the Vedic literature also it is mentioned that Vishnu Aradhyate Pumsam Nanyat Tattosha Karanam, that only the Aradhana of Vishnu is the supreme goal of us. Or even Lord Shiva, when he is discussing with Mother Parvati, he tells her, she asks him, whose Aradhana or whose worship should people do in general? So he says that Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhana Param. That Aradhana, out of all the Aradhanas, of all the Devatas, Vishnu Aradhana is supreme. But he says on top of that, actually, that Krishna also says several times in other places that Tasmat Parataram Devim Tadiyanam Samarchana. So, but better than Vishnu's Aradhana, actually, he says, Lord Vishnu says that one who serves his devotees, he is much better. Even Krishna says in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto that when he is instructing to Uddhava that the devotees of my devotees are much better than my direct devotees. Who considers them as my devotees, I consider that somebody who is serving the devotee is superior. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he's discussing this whole literature with Ramananda Rai in the Madras province, he says that when Ramananda Rai asked him who you are or what is his identity, so he says that Naham Viprana Nachanarapati. So he rejects all these 8 places basically, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or Brahmachari, Kshatriya, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. I am none of these, but what am I then? Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasanudas. I am servant of whom? Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo. Gopi Bhartu. Who is Bhartu of Gopi? Lord Krishna. Who is the protector of Gopi? Lord Krishna. And whoever is serving his lotus feet, Padakamala, of that servant, who is the servant? Of that servant, who is the servant? I am servant of him. So that's even Lord Chaitanya wishes that as his identity. So again, going back to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because this is kind of emergency situation, that's why Prabhupada has, Lord Chaitanya first started giving away this mantra for everybody in Kali Yuga. That's his mercy on us, and Prabhupada continued that, and he gave this all over the world. That even if we don't understand the meaning of this mantra, know for sure that when you chant this Vedic mantra, your heart will be purified. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That in Shikshashtakam Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 8 shlokas he gave as instructions, the very first he starts at Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. That darpan or mirror of our heart gets cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, cleansing of that. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidyavadu Jivanam. Anand Ambudi Vardhanam. Now, how much Ananda? Now, this place, eventually we'll read in this chapter, Krishna says that Dukkhalayam, this place is miseries. But when we chant Hare Krishna mantra and engage in Krishna's service, Ananda Ambudi, or the ocean of Ananda. So ocean, if we see in our experience is never increasing. Even though there is a high tide and low tide, but it remains in its own boundaries. But Ananda Ambudhi, when we chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the ocean of Ananda is Vardhanam, is ever increasing. Ananda Ambudhi Vardhanam. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. That Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is always victorious. So that is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's why there is so much emphasis given in many literature. And I mentioned about this. There is one book here where mention of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are several quotes from different scriptures that are given where this Mahamantra is given and how much emphasis on it is given in all the Vedic literature. And Brahmaji, when he is instructing to Narada Muni, also in Kari Santarana Upanishad, he says that iti shodashakam namnam kali kalmashanashanam, that these 16 words of the Lord Hari put in this order of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, kali kalmashanashanam, these syllables when chanted in this order, that they eradicate all the bad qualities of Kali Yuga. Kali kalmashanashanam. Nata paratara upaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. There is no better upaya, no better remedy other than this in all, even if you search through all the Vedic literature. And that's why Prabhupada several times, when he says, oh, think of me, okay, chant Hare Krishna mantra and Krishna will cleanse your heart and then he will make you remember him. So that's how we think of him. And so, yeah. So therefore, to think of him at the time of death, we should always think of him as this, at the same time, perform our duty, whatever it is at that time. Prescribed duty. And Prabhupada always translates the word karma or dharma, what is in that context, is as prescribed duty, not something that we built whimsically by our own. Prescribed. That is a key word. Prescribed by Vedic literature, coming through parampara. So I'll stop there. Any thoughts, Prabhuji? Any reflections on this verse?
प्रभूजी,
Yes, Prabhu.
ते ही ऍक्च्युली फार महत्वाचा ऍक्च्युली उपदेश केलाय कृष्णाने इथे. कारण मला म्हणजे जाणवतं की आपण लहानपणापासून असं ऐकत आलो की तरुणपणी तुम्ही तुमचे काम करा, म्हातारपणी तुम्ही देवधर्म वगैरे करत राहा, राईट? बरोबर, म्हणजे माइंडसेट झालेला असतो मोस्ट लाईकली की म्हणजे ही कामं जी आहे ती तुमच्या काय म्हणतात वार्धक्य काळात तुम्ही करायची असतात. पण या मंत्रात आता क्लिअरली सांगितलंय कृष्णाने की बाबा तुमच्या प्रिस्क्राईब ड्युटी करत असताना ते करत राहा. सॉर्ट ऑफ डोंट थिंक दॅट की यू विल गेट अनदर टाइम इन शॉर्ट. हिडन मिनिंग जर असं असेल की जसं की it is not that you can plan it at certain time doing this. Whenever you are there or whatever you are doing, keep doing this kind of thing. Keep remembering me. Don't keep pushing rather, or don't wait for this activity the way we are think that की म्हातारपणी करा वगैरे वगैरे देवधर्म तुमचे जे ते.
Yes, that's a very good point. But he says it's practical. You just think of me, but at the same time, do your duty also. He doesn't say that give up your duty. And that's a practical example. He's engaging Arjuna in the fighting. He's not saying, oh, you just sit, I'll take care of this. No. So that is also, yeah.
म्हणजे इव्हन जाणवतं की म्हणजे तरुणपणी जर कोणी असं करायला लागले जास्त जाणवायची बनायची की काय म्हातारा झाला की काय म्हणून, राईट? But this is very important message Lord is giving through Arjuna.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of one verse. I think I probably mentioned this from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, that Prahlad Maharaj, merely a 5-year-old boy, but when he goes to Gurukul, and all the sons of Shukracharya, Shanda and Amaraka are his teacher. So when they go outside, whenever there is a break or opportunity, he will teach the other Asura kids from his classroom or in the Gurukula to talk about Krishna. And he will tell them stories about Krishna. He will ask them to glorify Krishna and everything. And these young boys, they accept it, right? But somehow or other, obviously, Hiranyakashipu was not very happy. So that time he mentions one very key verse there. That he says that Kaumaram acharet pragnya dharman bhagavatan iha. Kaumaram means at very early age when the child starts going to school. कौमार्य आपण म्हणतो जे मुलगा मोठा झाला आता शाळेत पाठवायला पाहिजे. So from that age, आचरेत प्राज्ञ, somebody who is really intelligent, he should start आचरणात आणणं काय, धर्मान भागवतान इह, भगवत धर्म आचरणात आणायला सुरुवात करायला पाहिजे. दुर्लभ मानुषम जन्म, this birth as a human form is very very rare. दुर्लभम मानुषम जन्म तदपि अध्रुवम अर्थदम. Even though it is adhruvam, means temporary, it is arthadam, it is very very valuable. So don't waste this human form of life, and then engage in the Bhagavad Dharma from the very early age, tender age of, say, when you start going to school. So this should be taught. This is not something that we can wait until Prahlad instructs. Yeah. Very first verse he says here. Yeah. Kaumaram acharet prajnam dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusham janma tadapi adhruvam arthadam. So he says that one who is sufficiently intelligent, prajna, should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service or Bhagavata Dharma Bhakti Yoga. Giving up all other engagements, the human body is most rarely achieved, durlabham. And although temporary, adhruvam, like other bodies, it is meaningful, arthadam, because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. So yeah, as you rightly said, Chandrakant Prabhu, we should not wait until retirement or, oh, this is, I have to enjoy life now, get married and have kids and have fun at this time, or I have more priority in this and I don't have time for this. That is not the case. This is the top priority according to this verse. Right, Prabhu? So any other thoughts? Thank you, Chandrakant Prabhu, for sharing that.
Prabhuji, can you describe prescribed duties? What exactly? Because there is again a thin line between what is prescribed duty and what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Correct.
Does that mean prescribed duty means what is mentioned in the earlier chapter by Krishna? That means like what a Brahman should do, what Kshatriya should do in day-to-day. Does it mean that, or even in your day-to-day life, whatever you are doing, that also will form?
That's a very, very good question, Kiran Prabhu. So prescribed. So prescribed word Prabhupada uses because if I, just an example, the prescription word we refer generally from the doctor, right? Doctor prescribes us some medicine and then we go to the medical center and then get that prescribed medicine and then we take as per the doctor prescribed. Okay, 7 days, 3 times every time after the meal you have to take this medicine and then you will go. So that is prescribed duty. I don't just go whimsically and then take anything and then. So even for prescription, when I go to the medical store is full of all the medicines, right? Yeah. But the medicine for a specific person, for a specific disease is prescribed by doctor. It's not that, oh, because this is all, everything is medicine, I can take anything and it will cure my disease. It doesn't work that way. In the same manner, in Vedic literatures, there are prescribed duties given for different roles we have in this material world. And as you rightly said, there are 4 varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So each of them have their specific duties in that varna. Then 4 ashramas: Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and sannyasi. They have their prescribed duties. The brahmachari is basically, he should spend time only in studying and serving his guru and not doing any other work. And of course, following the regulative principles that are prescribed according to the Vedic literature. Grihastha is actually a very, we sometimes think that only brahmachari and sannyasi are important roles, but Grihastha actually plays very important role in the Vedic culture. Grihastha is the only person who is allowed to work and earn, or allowed to work for money, earning. And then his duty is to maintain all other 3. So Grihastha, when he earns money, he is maintaining brahmacharis, he is maintaining vanaprasthas, he is also maintaining sannyasis. By charity or by giving, making sure that everybody is fed and everybody is supported properly. So Grihastha is the one actually who supports all the other 3 varnas and supports the society. And then his duty is to earn livelihood, maintain family, take care of his wife and children, give them guidance in such a way that they will also be engaged in devotional service. So those are his duties. And these are in very detail given in the 7th chapter, 7th canto itself, starting 11th chapter. इन द 7वा स्कंद जो आहे त्यात 11व्या याच्यापासून द परफेक्ट सोसायटी 4 social classes. So how the perfect society will look like and what are the 4 social classes. 4 social classes is ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र. मग प्रत्येकाची ड्युटी काय ते दिलंय, अगदी व्यवस्थित डिटेल मध्ये दिलंय. त्यानंतर परफेक्ट सोसायटी मध्ये सेकंड 4 आश्रमास, 4 varnas in first chapter, 4 ashramas: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, all his duties. Now this also includes the behavior of a perfect person. So perfect person. So in all roles, so it also gives what are the duties of a grihastha and what are duties of a woman in all her stages, when she is not married, when she is married, and after she has children. So all these are very nicely given in Srimad Bhagavatam in summary and also other Vedic literature. The behavior of a perfect person. So this is what is prescribed. Ideal family life. What is the grihastha? How should a grihastha live in family life? What regulations he should have? How he should earn using the dharmic principle? The four arthas or the 4 purusharthas in the Vedic literature given that we are all aware of. The 4th that is material, from material point of view, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That we should behave following the dharma or the prescriptions given in the Vedic literature, which we understand from some who is knowledgeable person from the Vedic literature, who is guiding us in as a guru. So following his prescription, we should follow dharma. Using those activities according to the following dharma, we should earn money or artha to make livelihood. Using that artha or money which I have earned following the dharmic principles, not adharmic principles, I can enjoy in grihastha life to some extent. That is kama. And eventually I lead to life in such a way that I get freed from this complete material entanglement, that is moksha. But these all 4, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are still considered as material purusharthas or material engagements. And so there is 5th and the highest purushartha that is given, that is bhakti. And that is engaging in Krishna's service all the time. And that this is instructions for civilized human beings. Who is civilized called according to? So these 5 chapters, they give all the details about what prescribed duties, what is karma. Not that, oh, I am doing anything according to whatever I feel, I do karma, and then that's what generally people who claim to understand Bhagavad Gita or say that oh karma karo fal ki chinta mat karo, lekin what is karma they don't understand. So whatever I am doing, that is karma, that's what they think. So that is not the truth case. My karma according to my role is described in this role, in these chapters here.
Prabhuji, in today's context, but now see, like the 4 classes what is given, that those are probably no more strictly in practice, or you can say like somebody who is Kshatriya, he can do some other thing. Somebody who is Shudra, he is also doing something. Brahman who is doing something other. This by in today's context, I am saying, probably there are prescribed duties for on those who are, and there is always, it's not very strictly according. Okay, when you come into the other, like you mentioned about in society, like when you are in a brahmachari or grihastha ashram, what duties to be prescribed. Now, all these varnas, they are also going to be in these phases. So for them, it is okay. But how in today's context it will work? Means like you may be in a different and performing some other duties, maybe for some in today's context, because those are no more in existence now.
So because Krishna says that these varnas are created by me, he says in the 4th chapter, I think 13th verse, that Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam. These 4 varnas, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam, I have created. And how are they created? Guna Karma Vibhagasha, not by Janma, by the qualities they have acquired and the activities they perform. So they should. So these are 2 mandatory things for qualifying somebody in a specific varna. So he has to have those qualities, and he has to practice those qualities. Just by having quality doesn't work. He also have to practice those. Just like taking an example, somebody who has learned medicine from a medical school, and he is called as a doctor. But if he is not practicing a doctor, we will not go to him as a patient, right? And a couple of examples I was thinking in that context is the famous doctors I can think of is Dr. Shriram Lagu. So even I think he was medical doctor, right?
Yeah.
But I will not take, if somebody is sick in my home, I will not take it to him because I know he's not practicing. Or same thing. I actually, the very recent example, Dr. Nilesh Sable. He's also a medical doctor.
Yeah.
But will I take my patient if somebody is patient to him? No, because he's not practicing. So he may have qualified as a doctor, but he's not practicing. So guna, karma, both are required. Guna, karma, vibhagasha, not by janma. So because they are created by Lord, they will ever exist, even in some contaminated way. So in today's context, Brahmana is actually somebody. What is Brahmana's role? To guide the society, to give them intelligence, to teach them and educate them so that they can be elevated. So in today's context, all the intellectual, or they are called as intellectual class. So all the intellectuals, scientists, philosophers and others, they can be considered as in this category, Brahmana class. Kshatriya's duty is what? Kshati trayate the Kshatriya. Kshati manje harm, and trayate, one who protects others from them being harmed by someone else, is called Kshatriya. So Kshatriya's duty is to protect the society or every member of society. And when it says member of society, this includes actually animals also. So one who is protecting the society, so that is who are they then? So that is the administrative class, or in today's language, what we call as government. So it is government's duty to make sure that every citizen is protected and nobody is harming or taking disadvantage of somebody. When I say harming, it's not necessarily only physically harming. Nobody is kind of getting money and giving them some trouble or anything. So make sure that nobody is doing any criminal activity or kind of bullying anyone else in the society. Protective. So that protection, to give protection, is the duty of Kshatriya, and that is in today's context is the job of government. So government actually has the role of Kshatriya. Unfortunately, they are not real Kshatriya. They are all Shudras ruling. They have no understanding or qualification of Kshatriya, but that is their role. So that's what they are supposed to do. Vaishya is businessman and farming. Or in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, these qualities are all given. So Vaishya's duty is to Krishi Goraksha Vanijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. So Krishi, farming, Goraksha, cow protection, and Vanijam, trading. So this is commerce. So this is Vaishya's duty. So Vaishya basically is the producer, or he is the one who maintains the whole society. So he does through trading, through businesses and everything, he makes sure that everybody is supplied proper food, proper necessities. That is Vaishya's duty. And Shudra, because Shudra does not have any of these three qualities, his duty is to serve the remaining three as a service. And it doesn't matter where we are. In all the cases, wherever they are, they can follow these rules and regulations or follow their nature, and then they can be liberated, or they can attain the higher position even in their own position. And that's the perfect society. So Shudra, basically we all qualify in Shudra because we are working for others for money. The other three, Brahmana will never work for others. Kshatriya can never work for others. Kshatriya can take tax from others, but he can never work for others. And Vaishya doesn't work for others. He can do business or farming. But Shudra is working for all others for getting some money, and he is maintained properly for them. So these are the prescribed duties, and they are also in some contaminated way. They exist in today's world also. We see this intellectual class, protective class, or administrative class. We see the business class or mercantile class, and then we saw the laborer class. So this is what Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is. But because we cannot follow Varnashram Dharma in perfect way in Kali Yuga, that's why in Kali Yuga, actually it is said in the Shastra, Kalau Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everybody is Shudra because they don't have qualities. And here I came to 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to see all these qualities. So he says, the Brahmana's qualities, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra are distinguished by the qualities born of their own nature. And then these qualities are also from the Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Brahmana is fully in Satogun. Kshatriyas are in Rajogun or passionate, and then Vaishyas are in mix of Tamogun and passion. So they are passionate about business, but they are also ignorant. And Shudras are considered as in mode of Tamoguni or mode of ignorance. So what are the qualities? Brahmana's qualities are given here: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which Brahmana works. So they come to them naturally. You don't have to force them. And then you still have to develop them to some extent, but they come automatically by birth. They somehow. So that's why a person who is given in birth in Brahmana family, he is born with some of these qualities, but he still needs to be trained and develop these qualities. What are Kshatriya's qualities? Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership. These are the natural qualities for the Kshatriyas. Then Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural qualities for Vaishya. And Shudras, there is labor and service for others. This is in summary given in Bhagavad Gita, and in Canto 7, those chapters, it gives in detail. But because we in Kali Yuga, Prayana Alpayusha Sabhya Kalavasmin Yugejana. Prayana means generally Alpa Ayusha. Everyone is very Alpayushi, very short lived. Kalau Asmin, in this Kali Yuga, Asmin Yuge Jana, these all people in Kali Yuga are very short lived, and Manda, Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Yupadruta. They are Manda, they are lazy. Sumanda Matayo, they are not very intelligent. So it is very difficult for us to understand Vedic literature. And Bhagavad Gita is considered the elementary knowledge of Vedic literature, which itself we are taking so much time to study and understand. So forget about the other Vedic literature. So Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya, they are very unfortunate because they are suffering, but they don't know they are suffering. They are trying to find enjoyment here. And Yupadruta, on top of that, they are always in anxiety. They are always disturbed. So with these qualities, it is very difficult to follow this pure Varnashram Dharma, or it is also called Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. So that's why in Kali Yuga, what is given is Harer Nama, that I am repeating the same thing what we talked about in the beginning. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the remedy for Kali Yuga. That Parikshit Maharaj says that this is the medicine for Kali Yuga. Nivritta Shair Upadiyamana Bhavaushadhi Kshotra Manobhirama. That's hearing about Krishna, glorifying him and chanting his name. This is the Bhava Aushadhi. What this world is called as Bhava Sagar or Mrityu Sagar, and the Aushadhi to get out of this is the glorification of Lord Krishna or chanting his name. And that's why wherever we are, Sthane Sthita Shrutikatam Tanuvan Manobhir, Brahmaji says when he's offering prayers to Lord Krishna, that wherever Sthane Sthita, it doesn't matter where I am Brahman or Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra, Tanuvatan Manuvan Manobhir, that if I Tanu, Mana and Vacha, by my mind, body and by speech, if I somehow or other engage in service of Krishna, then Jitopya, somebody who cannot be conquered, because Krishna is called Ajita, he can be very easily conquered, and he will grant us all the benefits. And that's what Krishna is trying to give us here. So I hope that kind of answers the whole question.
Yeah, definitely.
Or is it
Definitely.
confusing?
No. It's clear now.
Mhm.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
But for prescribed duties, if we get a guidance from somebody or we read this and then try to follow as honestly as possible, even if we are making mistake, if we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna is guiding us through within the heart at Chaitya Guru. So he will make sure that we will find a person who can guide us so that, and then we can ask him questions that, oh, is this, even material questions? Oh, this is what I'm planning to do. Is it good to do or is it not good to do? And that's where the karma, vikarma and akarma comes in play. So we seek guidance, and whatever we from within, we always feel that, right? Oh, माझं अंतर्मन सांगतंय की हे करू नको, but मला mind जे, because I want to enjoy something, it is dragging me and it is making me work something I know for sure is not good for me. So that's where I should listen to my antarman or Paramatma. If I know for sure it is not good for me, it's better not, I don't do this. Because it is difficult for us to find exact prescribed duty in every specific role. And we come to that dilemma in day-to-day life. So just surrender to Krishna. Think, this is what I am going to do, because at this point, this is what I think is best I can do without harming anyone, when I say anyone, including me. And this is what I take as your instruction and do it. Because in day-to-day life, small things, it's sometimes we don't want to get too much, what do you call, involved, and then think that, oh, what do I do in small things? I should also go and ask my guru, oh, what do I do for these small things? like day-to-day, right? But if there is question and we want some clarification, we should always see, like some simple thing: what should I eat, what should I not eat? This is daily routine. So that also in the 14th chapter, Krishna explains what are the food that Satoguni person likes, what are the food that Tamoguni person like, what is the food that Rajoguni person likes. So we should try to always be in Satoguni. We should always try to eat sattvic food. But on top of that, even that, if I offer that sattvic food to Krishna and then eat it as prasadam, then it becomes transcendental food beyond sattvic. It is become pure, and that's what I should be eat, because then I don't accumulate any karma or reaction by eating that. So these are small things. These are very important in day-to-day life also. But the more and more we start trying to understand this, and with our sincerity, Krishna starts giving us guidance from within and from without. And one litmus test we typically, I tell everybody in our classes here also, the simple test we want to check if we are in dilemma is, if I am performing this activity, is it going to take me closer to Krishna, or is it going to develop love for Krishna in my heart, or is it going to take me away from Krishna? And generally the answer comes right away, and then we can easily know what I'm supposed to do. So some practical aspect as well as some scriptural references. So sorry, it was a little longer answer, but I thought that would help.
Well, it was very useful. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for explaining.
Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji's any, what is there? I think Rajesh Prabhu dropped. Madhu Prabhu, Bapu Prabhu, any thoughts?
हा प्रभूजी. हॅलो.
Yes, Prabhu.
आवाज येतोय माझा?
येतोय.
हा. यामध्ये तेच पुन्हा एकदा एम्फसाइज झालं की आपण म्हणतो की शेवटच्या क्षणी आपण आठवण केली पाहिजे कृष्णाची वगैरे, पण जोपर्यंत आपण आहे या सिच्युएशन म्हणजे आत्ताच्या कंडिशन पासून ते डेव्हलप करत नाही, तर लास्ट मोमेंटला काही आठवणं अशक्य आहे. त्यामुळे आपल्याला आत्तापासूनच ते सवय लावली पाहिजे, आणि जेणेकरून लास्ट मोमेंटला दुसऱ्या अनेक गोष्टी असू शकतात. त्यावेळेला मे बी आपली फिजिकल कंडिशन, मेंटल कंडिशन कशी असेल माहित नाही. तर म्हणजे त्याकरता आपण आत्तापासूनच ते स्वतःमध्ये ते हे डेव्हलप केली पाहिजे. म्हणजे आपण जे रेग्युलर आपलं काम करतोय ते तर आहेच आहे, त्याबरोबर कृष्ण भक्ती किंवा जे काय प्रिस्क्राईब ड्युटीज तुम्ही सांगितल्या त्याप्रमाणे ते पण आत्तापासूनच करणं खूप गरजेचं. हे गोष्टी परत एकदा लक्षात आल्या म्हणजे. सो थँक्यू.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. That's a very nice reflection. So actually in next few verses he says then how we can think of Krishna. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasana. By practice. Abhyasa is practice. Abhyasa yoga means practice of meditation. How? So next few verses. I was thinking we probably will do this verse also today, but we had a very nice, beautiful discussion, and we are running late. I don't want to just read for the sake of it and only have 10-minute discussion. So yeah, next few verses he explains how we can think of him. So thank you, Prabhuji. Maybe we can stop here today, then we can stop a little early today.